Welcome to Art Brunch on YouTube. I'm the host of Art Brunch, Rick Bowling. Every week, live on Twitch, we bring in a new contemporary artist to talk about their work, drink tasty bevs, and just hang out with us. Every week, we're uploading an edited show to podcast and to YouTube. YouTube will host the art part of the conversation, so you can see which slides we're referring to. But if you want to hear all the hijinks of the show, check out the podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Please take a moment to like and subscribe right now so you never miss an episode or any of the other content that we're putting out on this channel. And lastly, I gotta plug watching the show live with our awesome community on Twitch. It's the way the show's intended to be. All of these links and more are available in the description. Our guest this week is Drew Nikonowicz. His bio reads, Drew Nikonowicz, born in St. Louis, Missouri, 1993, earned a BFA degree from the University of Missouri-Columbia in 2016. His work employs analog photographic processes as well as computer simulations to deal with exploration and experience in contemporary culture. He's exhibited both nationally and internationally. In 2015, he received the Aperture Portfolio Prize and the Lenscratch Student Prize. In 2017, Nikonowicz completed a one-year residency at Fabrica Research Centre. His first photobook, This World and Others Like It, was co-published by Yoffy Press and FW Books in 2019. It was awarded Jurors Special Mention at the 2019 Paris Photo Aperture Foundation Photobook Awards. He now lives in the United States in St. Louis, Missouri. He works there as an artist and is the photography technician at the Sam Fox School of Design and Visual Arts at Washington University. Drew does a lot of really awesome stuff. He's got a lot going on. You can find him on Instagram. He's got his own personal website, and he's a Twitch streamer himself. So all of those links will also be in the description. Thank you for tuning in, and enjoy the show. We do want to talk about your artwork and your creative practice, and these conversations are often a little less structured than typical art conversations, so we can move in and out of different things. But do you consider yourself an artist or a photographer? Like, how do you reference yourself? Like, if you're talking to somebody on the street about what you do.
Um, it depends. I definitely lean more towards calling myself an artist. The problem with saying that I'm a photographer is that people go, "Oh, so do you take pictures of people or landscapes?" And it's like,
Mm.
I understand where that question comes from, but there is no right answer. So, like, I mean, you guys know this, right? Like, if no matter how you answer, people have sort of a preconceived notion of like what it means to be either of those things. And a lot of times the conversation ends up being about um, sort of like deinstitutionalizing them so that they can kind of understand what I mean when I say that I'm an artist. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So usually what ends up happening is like I say, "Oh, I'm a photographer," or, "Oh, I'm an artist," and they say, "Oh, so like what kind of work do you make?" or whatever. And the like quick way that I kind of try to like encapsulate working as an artist who makes things is by saying like I come up with like projects and ideas and I make work for that project, and then when that project is done I make something new. So like
Mm.
that kind of like relieves the the structure or the anxiety of having to sort of be like, well, I don't really take landscapes or portraits, but I do those things, but not for those things. It's like, it gets like really annoying and convoluted.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a bit of room reading involved, it sounds like,
Hmm.
too, with your audience and like communicating effectively what you do to the audience that you're communicating with. And I think
Yeah.
that that's something that you're also engaged in outside of the context of like an elevator, right? What is an elevator?
Yes.
What is riding on an elevator with somebody? It's like one of my biggest phobias now. Um, I was like delivering DoorDash for a while, and uh, there was like a regular order that I got, and this person like puts in the notes, hey, I'm disabled, I'm on the 12th floor, like you have to ride the elevator. If you don't want to ride the elevator, I understand, but don't accept the food order
Mm,
if you don't want to ride the elevator. And I'm like, okay, I'll ride the elevator, but not with anybody else. But
yeah.
but yeah, so like thinking about, I don't know why where that comes from, but it's just one of those like weird things that like elevator pitch is like potentially a phrase that we will no longer turn, um, or it means something completely different. But
Yeah.
navigating those conversations. Boogie Nights put something into the chat, and then we'll continue. I wish I could send an image in this chat. I have a collection of images of Drew getting asked by strangers to take their picture out in public. And every time I take a picture of him, of these moments, when these people have no idea he's literally the top world awarded photographer. So,
It happens a lot, actually.
so people will say, you'll say that you're a photographer, and they're like, oh, can you take my picture?
No, no, no. It just okay. So, for example, the most recent time it happened, I was at a wedding, or I was going to a wedding in Herman, Missouri,
Uh-huh.
and I was walking down the street with I don't even know his name because so I was walking down the street with this guy because he was dating another one of the bridesmaids. So like my partner was one of the bridesmaids, and so they were off doing bridesmaid shit, and so I was stuck with this random guy that I didn't know because we were like the partners, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very nice guy. Like I had a good time with him. No disrespect towards this
Fuck that
man.
guy.
I would hang out with him again. Let's put it that way,
It's
right?
like an asshole. I
It
don't know.
wasn't one of those moments where like you're walking with this person and you're just like, I hate that I'm in a relationship, right? It was definitely not one of those
Okay.
things, right? Anyways, we're walking down the street and him and I were literally talking about photography because he was asking me what I do and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we walked past this group of people, and I don't know if you guys get this, but there's this look that people have when they're about to ask you to take their photo. I don't like,
Oh, I see.
they
Yeah,
all
yeah.
they're all kind of like mingling, and then they look over at you, and then they're mingling, and then they look over at you, and there's like there's always the different parts of the group. There's the
Uh-huh.
people in the group who are like, just ask him, it'll be fine, and then there are the people in the group who are like, no, like we can just do this ourselves, it's fine, like they're
Uh-huh.
like fighting about it, and then finally
The leader
the ambitious
emerges.
one
Yeah.
comes forward. And it happened there. This random person was like, hey, can you take our photo? And I was like, yeah, sure, it's fine. And we keep walking, and we ended up we ended up talking about like why I took the photo the way I took it, because I kind of like kneeled down and I got a little bit lower, because they were all on the front of a house. And he was like, why did you do that? And I was like explaining, perspective correction and stuff like that. And then later that night at the reception dinner, they're like talking, and he brings it back up how like I took this photo of these people, and he was sort of explaining like why I took the photo the way I did, and he goes, because apparently if you do this, and I was like, he was like a charged use of the word apparently.
Wow.
Little did he know he's been taking people's photos extremely poorly his whole life.
I felt attacked. I was
you
like,
were such a
listen, I
jerk.
I told you that in confidence.
Yeah.
This was a private moment, bro.
Yeah. I take all of the niceties back.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, I digress.
No,
It happens
yeah.
a lot.
Well, and
Like a lot.
that's interesting because it does not happen a lot to me. So I don't know if that's like maybe there's this like latent, camera care that you have that's like emanating off of you. Because I think I've been asked to take a photo for someone like maybe 3 times in my entire life. And it sounds like you're far outpacing that number.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so
Like,
might be something in your look or something like with your fingers. Your fingers.
see, but that doesn't make sense to me because like here I'm sort of jovial and calm, but like my like walking face, my like I'm doing my own thing face, that like is I'm walking down the street like this.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have resting bitch face, you have walking bitch face? Is that
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm walking down the street like I don't make eye contact.
Damn.
Yeah.
Cool customer.
Like
not
nobody
messing with me.
tell me you look at this face and go, I want them to take my photo.
I don't even really
mean-
feel like talking to you right now when you make that face. I got a little
Rick, should we
anxious.
keep doing the show?
I just got a little anxious about the whole having you here thing.
Wait, Rick, let's do this. Should we like interview him for a show? Should we ask him to take our picture?
No, I don't think so. I think that
I mean,
he looks
seems
busy.
Like he knows what he's doing.
He looks
Like
busy.
he seems like.
And just
Like,
kind of.
can we let's just ask.
You can ask
Here,
him.
okay, hold
If you want to ask him.
Hey, excuse me. Can you join our show?
I want to comedically disconnect, but I know that might fuck up Rick's OBS, and so I won't.
There we go. Too much of that already. We already got that one out.
It's like, and then we all get flipped, right? So now I'm Jake, Rick is me.
There we go. We need to do more asides like that, Rick. I think that's a good bit. We should.
I mean, we could just use this. We could just like go into the aside scene.
Yeah, kind of mad we didn't do that. Oh well. No, but we needed the face anyway. Okay, so that's happened a lot to you, and we just won't know why. We'll keep ruminating on it though.
I have no idea.
Okay. And see, I thought you were gonna say like you have a camera on you, like it was gonna be something that obvious,
right?
And, like.
So I mean, that's happened. That's definitely happened. But like, the two most memorable times that I can think of are the most recent one, which I've already told you about, and then when I was in New York for the opening of my exhibition that went with the Aperture Portfolio Prize that I got in 2015. We were at the Whitney. We were at the Whitney on those. I don't know if you guys have been there, but they have the really cool like balconies. Totally. We were out on one of those just chilling, my partner and I, and just like two random people were like, "Hey, can you take our photo?" And we literally left the Whitney to go to my opening. It was like, you know, there was that like that ego moment of like, they have no idea who I am, but it was also just like, I mean, who cares? It's like, it's just a picture, right? Like, I don't mind people asking me. I kind of get honored when people ask me because I'm like, I feel like I will do a good job.
Yeah.
And I take care, you know.
Call that
like,
feeling honored?
Yeah.
No, I think it's.
No,
it's like.
I mean, I'm no award-winning photographer, but I at least like know how to use an iPhone camera.
Yeah.
Like,
I
know to
sure.
touch where the people's faces are. Like, I'll take several, and like I'll let them know that, like, hey guys, I'm gonna take a few. So okay, here we go. You know, like it's just the communication. Like, these people are safe in our command, in our space. I definitely get that.
It like low-key hurts my feelings when I take the picture and they kind of look at it like they're dissatisfied. I'm like, damn it!
So wait,
like, I really thought I did a good job.
You kind of linger after, and you're like, feedback when you.
Do you want me to do it again? Like, as if they'll ever see me again.
I think you just take the pictures, give them the phone, and just like literally run, just haul ass away.
My biggest dream as an artist is that one day I have an exhibition and I do like a lecture or something, and then like afterwards we're hanging out at the opening and people are talking to me, and I overhear, he's taken my picture before. Me and my friends asked him to take our picture, and he did a terrible job.
Why are we here? Whose work is this? Can't be his.
I actually made one of the first folders on my iPhone just to put in this photo that I thought was so terrible. Like, look at it.
Turns out this guy's like pretty popular.
Oh my god.
Guess I caught him on the wrong day.
Yeah.
I'd be like, listen, I'm sorry.
I guess I just don't understand art.
Yeah.
Denise in the chat says, my people pleasing goes into overdrive when I take pics for strangers.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
You gotta do
I
it.
feel
it's
that.
It's a good communal thing to do. Feels good.
I'm not sure if there's a bridge to be built here, but in some ways this makes me think about like some of your photographs and some of your prints and this other section of the show, or this idea that we wanted to get to today about one of your projects, maybe about like the temporalness of some of this work that you're making, or the way that like people please each other, and how certain things can be pleasing to someone even if they seem like destructive, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you have this project that you're working on called Destroy My Art.
Yeah.
Is that the official working title?
That's like the working title. I think the final title will be My Darlings to Kill.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But
so I was engaged through Drew's Patreon, which, links for that. Go check that out. what does tiered membership start at for Patreon?
$5.
$5. Yeah, so that's an easy win. I was tasked with signing up to potentially destroy one of Drew's art prints as a part of this larger project that you're working on, and in that correspondence, you mentioned, I think, pretty briefly that it's really cathartic for you and you enjoy the process of seeing other people destroy your work that you had. You
Yeah.
encountered that at some point, and I'm curious about like where you encountered that first as a way of leading into this conversation about this piece.
So I sell prints occasionally when people don't know where else to put their money.
Hmm.
And the deal that I make with everyone is if you buy one of my prints, I will, sign number. It comes with a sort of like certificate with a bunch of information about how it was made and stuff like that. Things that are useful for conservation if the prints last long enough for that to be important.
Hmm.
Um, and if it arrives damaged, I will ship another one for free. You just have to prove to me that you have destroyed the previous copy
Okay.
because I sell editions. So it's like, it's a numbered print. So for the sake of my future and hopefully one day having like gallery representation and things like that, I keep really close track of like what I've sold and where I've sold it and, what my edition numbers are looking like these days. So I did the photographer support pledge, which was a thing several months ago during, well, the pandemic is still happening, but it was during the pandemic all the same, where you offered work for $200 or less. And the deal was, I don't remember the exact numbers. I think it was like for every 5 sales, or maybe it was
It's like
less.
$1,000 in
Yes.
revenue. Yeah.
Yeah. So for every $1,000 of sales you make, you agree to buy at least one thing from another artist.
Hmm.
Mm.
Um, so that combined with the fact that I was furloughed from my job, kind of motivated some people to pick up some of my work. And I had a unreasonable number of prints get damaged in that run of sales. Like I haven't sold a ton of prints, don't get me wrong, but like I think maybe one print has arrived damaged out of, many prints, right? So it was kind of surprising to me. But anyways, I went to one of the people who bought a print and they said, "Hey, it came damaged. It got folded."
Oh wow.
And it's on, like really nice archival photographic paper and stuff. And, you can't get a crease out of a print like that.
Hmm.
So I was like, okay, well, if you show me that you've destroyed it, I will, of course, ship you a new one. Um, and the video he sent, and because the paper was really thick, it had this really satisfying deep tear sound. It wasn't like a tight, like high pitch from just like a cheap piece of 8.5 by 11 paper. It had like
Uh-huh.
a deep, I don't know. And this wasn't the first time that I've seen work of mine destroyed, but there was something about like the uneasiness that it gave this person. Like you could tell they didn't want to do it. Um, I don't know. It was like really cathartic to me. I even wrote them that. We're Instagram DMing at this point just
Mm.
to keep things quick. And I was like, that was actually really satisfying to watch. And it kind of just lived there for a while. And then, I don't know, fast forward maybe a month or two or three. And I've been sort of like making work since 2016, since I finished This World and Others Like It. And none of the work really lives together, if that makes sense. Like I have all of these photos that I really love and I've worked really hard on them and I care about them as individual images, but when you sort of put them together and try to make a project out of them, there's no unifying factor other than the fact that I made them in the last 4 years.
Mm. Hmm.
And as I was kind of like rounding off 2020, I was like it kind of occurred to me that I didn't think that these pictures were ever going to go anywhere and like quote mean anything to me. And so I didn't want the work to go to waste, and I didn't want to just get rid of the work, because I do think that there are good photographs in this collection of images. They just don't, again, they don't live together. And so it's like, well, how do you handle that? And I don't know when it kind of just like occurred to me, but I was like, well, what if I just like sent these out and was just like, destroy these?
Yeah.
And so from there, I made the Google form, as you know, Rick, and I just started posting about it a bunch. And I was like, I need 100 people to destroy my art, and if you agree to do it, I will ship you 2 prints. You can keep one of them, and you can destroy the other one. Just send me a video of you destroying the second one.
I destroyed
And
the
yeah,
first one.
and now it's like, it's a project now. It's like, it turns out that all I needed was an excuse to make the pictures related, and the excuse
see.
is that they all got destroyed.
Yeah. The first thing that comes to mind was you said, when I finished this world and others like it. Like, first of all, like hearing somebody say when I finished that gave me like a visceral reaction of like, wow, what is finish? Like, we don't typically hear the word finish on Art Brunch.
Yeah. Well,
And
coming from the music world, I've always felt very like uneasy when people are like, yeah, I just finished a new album. Like, I know, yeah, like it's done, it's ready to go. I'm like, what are you talking about? You don't just like sit and tinker with something for 6 years and never put it out?
I mean, sometimes you gotta put a stop on it.
You have to.
To be fair, one of my favorite quotes is, "Art isn't finished; it's abandoned." So when I abandoned this world and others like it,
I mean,
I think that's been attributed to a lot of artists over time, and is definitely, I think I heard it attributed to Caravaggio, but yeah, I think that's like at least it's finality, you know. I think that finality is important. I don't think I ever really created something that was, or I feel like I'm working in personally one of my series of works right now that like could even like elicit finality at some point, that like there's disparate projects that come and go that don't ever really even elicit the need to finalize. But it's an exciting idea to think about, like what it would take to make something final, and then I extend that question, to this destroy my artwork. Like, is this like a process of like finalizing those prints, or kind of like archiving them or wrapping them with a bow?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, so like, part of why, one, I just love the phrase, "kill your darlings." So my darlings to kill, that's like where it comes from, is, for those who aren't familiar with that phrase, right? It just means that you worked really hard on something, and so you've fallen in love with the idea of it, and you've really married to it, but you know that you have to move on. So yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, the work is kind of my way of putting a bow on it, saying it's done, so that I can feel like I did something with this work that I care about. When I know that the work itself doesn't operate, like, maybe a couple of years ago by now, maybe 2 or 3, but I was like, a good portion of the group of images that occupy this project had already been made, and I had them all in a little box, and I went to New York to do some things, and I met with someone that works at Aperture, because at this point, I sort of have a working relationship with a lot of the people there. And I was showing her the work, because she was one of the people that chose me for the Portfolio Prize in 2015. So just kind of checking back in and being like, hey, how's it going? Like, this is what I'm working on now. And kind of talking to her about things I'm thinking about. And I remember her reaction very distinctly. She said something along the lines of like, well, I look forward to seeing this when it's further along. And I I've been thinking back to that moment a lot, especially when I started sort of doing the Destroy My Art project, because the way I think about and talk about this group of photographs hasn't changed since that moment. And so like me explaining and like talking about the work always finishes with, in the back of my head, hearing her say, I look forward to seeing this when it's further along. And it's like, it hasn't gotten any further along. And so I kind of realized like making work the way I've been making work is no longer functioning. And so I need to kind of like just sort of start again, basically. And to your point before about like finishing things is like, I think part of why this project didn't get anywhere is because it was the first time I'd ever started again after being in school. And like starting again as an artist, I think is really scary and just like fucking hard, quite frankly. So I don't know where I go after this, but I at least have theories and at least I feel slightly more equipped to start again because I've started again once before and I know that it didn't go well. So I know at least one way to not succeed.
It's like information at some point. I always feel like something like that where you like, I know not to do this. Like I use this phrase a lot that is invent the use of it in this way, but it's like an insurance policy. It's like, not, you know what your limits are. And like, I can rely on the fact that that is not the way.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mandalorian style. Exactly. So
I'm a huge proponent of iteration. Having been a visual artist inside of an art institution and then leaving and learning to make work outside of it, then going back and then leaving and learning to make work outside of it, learning to make work outside of it. You know, these school doesn't necessarily prepare many artists for the practice of continuing to start again as we move into our professional careers as artists, and iteration is helpful. Like maybe we do this 1,000 times and then we start to get good at it. But
all the things they tell you in art school about making, it's all the shit that you don't want to hear and that you regret not listening to more. Like, you know, This World and Others Like It, that's a project that was made in a crit cycle, making 15 to 20 pictures at least every 3 weeks, and doing assignments in other classes that inspired ideas that led to photographs that are in the project. And it's like when you're out of school and you make 2 pictures a week maybe, and you turn around and you look at the work that you've made after 3 years, it's like there's a good chance that it's not going to look, feel, or function even remotely the same because you haven't been having conversations about it. You're not making work on a faster crit cycle. Like, so I don't know. What has occurred to me 5 years too late is that the way that work gets made is fundamentally different, in that you have to kind of embrace and accept that, as opposed to like trying to sort of function under that same kind of idea. Because what ends up happening is what happened to me, where it's just like, if you look at the 2 pictures I made in October of 2018, they look very similar, but they have nothing to do with the 2 pictures that I made in January of 2019, because it's like I was completely different places.
Yeah.
So destroy it all. Burn it all down.
And on a personal note, or on a Art Brunch note, were some of the slides that we went through in our first conversation, is that the same sort of work that made its way into this project?
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't remember explicitly, but
well, I like to just imagine that it is, so we can move forward. But yeah.
I respect that.
So, but I do want to share. We do have some videos here, but I mean, the reason I bring that up is because it's interesting to have that iteration, and to see it kind of like expanded across just even this project, this Art Brunch project. But we'll look at a couple of these here. I want to look at this first one, And then I also definitely want to look at the one with gravel, and we'll see what else comes up.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's one.
Okay, we don't have audio, but Twitch does. Okay, that's good.
Oh, really? You all don't?
Yeah, no, it's totally fine. I mean, I know what the audio sounds like.
Jake, the audio sounded like a truck driving forward in the mud over a print.
I wasn't sure. I had a feeling, but I appreciate you doing that description for me. Thank you.
I'm curious as to why you wouldn't have
Discord
audio
doesn't like
Discord.
streaming audio. It's fine.
Okay.
We don't need to
I feel
stress
like the
about it.
audio on this next one is important,
Okay.
but it's important in an abstract way.
I think, yeah, I mean, Rick and I talked about this a little bit, but I think that the audio is like really critical to this work, at least in its final form.
You know how like on Instagram people are like, man, I can hear this photo. Man, I can smell this photo. I'm like, man, I can not hear this video, but I can hear this video. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the audio on this one's particularly, and this guy's also like clearly exerting himself.
Yeah.
And you can hear it in the video. He's like sort of breathing heavily.
It seems deeply personal. Like is this a vendetta? Do you have an issue with this guy?
No, that's funny you say that. So, I mean, maybe I can send it to you right now, but I got one. So for those who aren't aware, I almost cut my finger off almost 2 years ago now.
Wow.
Which is why my finger looks like it's trying to escape from my hand. And I photographed my finger a lot after that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the photos that is in this grouping, there's actually a couple pictures of my fingers in this grouping of images for My Darlings to Kill. And I I forgot I did this, and then I laughed out loud when I got the video back. Somebody proposed that they were going to cut my print with a table saw.
Oh.
And I sent him a picture of my fingers.
Oh man,
It's so good.
it's so good.
It comes full circle.
It really does.
K-Check in the chat says, I love watching these. Denise says, ASMR and do I hear birds? And K-Check says, I've said this before, but this guy just let out all of his 2020 frustrations, and I love it.
Yeah, and to that point, that was actually another thing that I thought about. I don't know if I said this in the form, but I also kind of see this as sort of a goodbye to 2020. Like, I work on this stuff a little bit on stream, although I don't know if I'll do that too much in the future, just because editing video and streaming at the same time, turns out that my computer doesn't want to do that because those require the same resources. And a lot of people are sending me 4K video. So in any case, I was working on editing in these videos and kind of going through them at one point during a stream, and somebody, I think I know who it was, but somebody said that there's not a lot of work about frustration. And like, this work is absolutely also about frustration, both like with the universe and the world. And, there's so many things to be frustrated about right now. And it's like exhausting. And so I think there is a good part of this work that's about just being frustrated and kind of like sharing my frustration with the world by basically being like, you're frustrated, take it out on my print, please just take a video of it. And so it's like, it becomes this collective act of destruction that sort of feels like, I don't know, if it's cathartic for me, and a lot of people that have sent me the videos have said this was cathartic for me as well, is like, it's sort of this place that we can put our frustrations so that we can kind of like, I don't know, move forward slightly more clear-headed.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think in addition to that, this like collective act of frustration is um, something that we don't have a lot of infrastructure for in our society that I
Mm-hmm.
think that we should. Like I think about 1984 and how they have these moments where like these brief moments where everyone can say, it can like yell back, like this day of rage that they
Yeah.
like integrate into the society itself because there is
Mm-hmm.
all of this like pent up frustration, and then these days where people are like very violent or violent against each other, violent against the like authoritarian state is like state sanctioned and it's like put
Yeah.
inside of a pin, right? So like first of all, I think that our society struggles with like collective moments of frustration in a way that are like constructive. Not to say the 1984 ones are constructive, but like football game, like it's really sports that I think kind of unites certain communities around like this collaborative frustration. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but this is also an opportunity inside of your work for uh, collaborative creativity, right? And like exploring the treatment of materials and understanding how certain materials that don't typically interact do interact with one another. We all have these like urges to be curious of what a blender would do to a piece of paper. Uh, but we often don't explore those on our own through our own volition. So there's this
Yeah.
taboo quality to it, and also this like opportunity for what we understand to be creativity is juxtaposing and combining materials in new ways.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm
Yeah.
curious too, kind of with that, like the preciousness of people's work and prints. Like you are an accomplished photographer and people are taking your accomplished photographs and destroying them, but yet you're keeping editions of them. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
love that combination of like, and it's very like how have you like messed around with like the preciousness of work? Like has this felt releasing in a way? I'm curious about that. Like beyond it's just fun to see someone rip your stuff to shit, but like to really like there's a mental anguish I think that comes with like the preciousness with one's art at the same
I
time.
I think that that's part of why people like doing it, right? Like I so someone participated in this and I actually ended up having them reshoot their video and I was like, I'll send you a third print, but you got to reshoot this. Because I was like, the video is perfect, but you're talking the whole time.
Mm.
And that's like, yeah, that defeats the purpose of being able to hear the print getting destroyed, right? But basically it's him. He's like actually kind of an internet friend of mine. He's like, this feels so wrong, but all right, here we go. And he's just like talking about how much he doesn't want to do it the whole time.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, like I said earlier on, I'm a firm believer that nothing is sacred, and like um to kind of I guess like not to be annoying or granular, but technically speaking, the prints that I'm selling are not the same ones as these that are getting destroyed. But to your point, there is absolutely a world where I want to believe that this work might get exhibited. And the way that I see this work existing in a gallery is um, a grid of televisions that are sort of randomly playing art destruction. So maybe there's like 4 or 9 screens or something like that where you constantly can engage with a video that interests you. And then on the walls there would also be a sort of like short selection of maybe like the 10 best photographs that are actually worth printing large and looking at closely.
Mm.
Mm.
Because I mean, the truth of the matter is that a lot of these I just don't think are worth looking at more than a couple seconds. And I think that's part of why, as much as I love the photographs, that's I think a lot of the reason why I see them as my darlings to kill is like this picture in particular that Aline Smithson is destroying. It's the picture. It's the top of a can of coffee. And I love this photograph. I fucking love this photograph because it literally has written it's a little picture. You can't quite see it, but there's a little picture showing how to open the can. You lift a thing and then you peel back or whatever. But at the moment where you're peeling it back, it has literally written PSSSSSSS. So it's
Mm.
like it's literally going, you will hear psst, right? And like there's something so fucking great about that. But like as an image, it's like it doesn't exist beyond that little fun moment. And so it's like, as much as I love this photograph, I know that I have to kind of like move past it.
And I just one more question about that, and like what happens to the remains usually of these prints?
So this actually happened on stream. I don't I'm sure it's gone by now, but somebody fucking mailed me back the burnt up print, and I opened it foolishly, and it just like spilled ashes all over my studio. So then I had to like clean that shit up. Another guy deep fried my print, which is it's in this video. He mailed me back the deep fried print.
No way.
And it was like this oily, disgusting. And
Oh,
what's
shit.
even better is I fucking love this. He drove to my place and put it through the mail slot. Because he didn't put postage back on it. He just taped it shut. I was like, really, dude? This one, yeah. And I know this guy. He's great. I really like him. He's one of those people that I'd love to talk to more. But
that's sizzle.
Yeah. So his partner is a curator. His partner is Wesson at Cam. And I don't think you can hear it in the video. You have to like really crank up the audio. But at the end of the video, you can hear her sort of complain about how bad it smells. But I will very quickly say, for those who are watching, fair warning, at the end of this specific video, his fire alarm goes off. And I hate to spoil the surprise, but when I've played this on my stream, everybody yells at me because they're like, I thought there was a fire in my building.
Oh.
It's not your building, it's the video.
URL, not IRL. Just
Yeah.
a little heads up. Gotcha.
I wonder how long this took, because you can tell that the footage is sped up a little bit.
Yeah.
I think it's like a 5-minute clip.
Okay.
And I condensed it down to about a minute.
Oh, it's nasty.
Yeah, he pulls it out and it's smoky.
Wow.
That's what you're eating, you know, if you fry food. Yeah.
He also told me that his partner refused to let him do this in one of their pans, so they had to go to the dollar store just to buy a pan to do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
He was like, no chance you're deep frying a fucking inkjet print in my skillet.
That looks like a well-worn skillet. So that might be a thrift store find.
I think so.
That's a good.
Yeah, and wow. And I think that how did you like the fire alarm sound? Because the sound is part of it too. The fire alarm sound is like a really happy accident in that video.
Oh yeah,
it's real good, real juicy.
Yeah, and to Denise's point, actually, the birds in that other video, like all those little gifs. I love all of those. I don't think it's in this 20-minute trailer. Maybe it is. We can just let it run as opposed to like trying to seek it out. But in another video, somebody used a BB gun to like shoot it repeatedly, and they were obviously outside, and a bug flies and lands like perfectly in the bottom right corner.
Wow.
And so it's like, I mean, you can't even plan that, but just like something about those little moments is like, I think really where this work becomes interesting.
Absolutely. Is this one of those "it's a cake" meme? And you just little did you know that's actually a cake?
This guy is actually a really famous, like his work went viral on Instagram during the pandemic because he's been making masks out of the food he eats. And so he was like, can I make a mask out of your print and sort of incorporate it into my project? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. So he made this video for me of him eating it. And then if you go on his Instagram, I might even be able to find it and drop the link.
Wow.
Big cake bites.
It's a nice sneak peek here. Sneak peek exclusive on the travel agency, aside from Nico's world.
Yeah, here it is. Let's see if I can find the right. Yep. I'll put it in chat for anyone who's curious. Oh, I got slapped.
Okay.
Oh yeah. I don't. Can you want to send it to me on Discord?
Yep. Yeah.
I need to fix that at some point. It's not something that typically happens.
No worries. I know how it goes.
All right, cool. I'll pop that in the chat here for y'all. Yeah, and I think let's pull it up though. That would be good. Oh, look, I got a like.
Ooh.
There you go.
Wow, look at that.
But yeah, his work went viral. And he's been doing one like almost every day, I think, or pretty regularly.
Yeah, check out Food Mask U.
Super
Oh,
interesting
wow.
guy.
Yeah. Very fun. Avocados, I see. Yeah, I mean, if you want to be famous on the internet, just do what you're into.
Yeah,
That's the
I
moral
think
of
it
the
was just a
story.
happy accident because like he's sharp as a tack. He's a really nice guy.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, for whatever reason during the pandemic, people decided that food masks were what they wanted to consume.
They should. That makes
Go
sense.
figure.
I do feel like there was a desire for me to keep the print that I quote unquote destroyed, and I think particularly that sensation came from like almost not. I almost feel as though I didn't actually like go into it with the desire to destroy it. So I think that like in some ways like I didn't follow the prompt because like what is like what is the destruction of a print, right? So we get into that and that like for my proposal I use the same methods that I used to create my paintings. So I used an electric hand orbital sander, a dual action orbital sander, and it was close to destroyed, but it wasn't. Like there is still something there. Whereas somebody who like lit it on fire and turned it into ashes, I think would be closer in proximity to destroyed than what I did, or maybe the things that some other people did.
Yeah, I can see that.
So that's something to think about. But we are coming up on our second break here. So when we come back from our break, we'll finish up our conversation about this. I think there are a few more things that we can juice out of this project. And yeah, so we will take a short break here. We'll be back around 12:11. So we will see you soon.